I used to come here a lot and do some really, well, for me, really, really hard sessions. And look at it. It's just that old, I forgot it's the old cinder track, but when this kind of gets wet, it turns into slush. But usually in the dry season, you got a couple of kids over there. They're playing football. They've got big dreams, big hopes in their heart. And you got a little stadium, you got a lot of football that goes on here, just by the side. And this is also floodlit as well, which is pretty amazing, because this is for this little town in this little area, which is basically on the foot of a Sutep mountain and Doi Pui, another mountain just above Sutep. And this is this is one of 5 tracks in, it's probably the oldest track, I would imagine. Definitely the surface, and definitely kind of least taken care of, even though there's a couple of people taking care of it and watering it and stuff like that. There's a football field here. The grass is as we used to play when we were young, you know. It's like some bits it's hard, some bits it's bumpy. It's difficult to put passes together. Barcelona is certainly not playing on this, but the point is, what is the point? The point is that I'm thinking a lot today about discipline and motivation and drive. And a lot of people will mistake somebody who just gets stuff done as having a lot of motivation, a lot of drive. But I think even more important than that initial push is the discipline just to keep it going. And once you kind of put that initial motivation, drive, whatever it is, if you want to kind of restart running or aim towards something new or whatever it is you're trying to do in your life, if you can turn that initial drive, initial motivation into habit, into discipline, into whatever the weather, I know it's beautiful today, whatever the weather, whatever the conditions, whatever I have access to, it's getting done, because the training's getting done because I know where it leads, and I've experienced where it leads. It leads to good places. It leads to, the discipline leads to good race results in the long term and the medium term. But in the short term, you can piece the puzzle together. You can piece the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together so that you can actually kind of build a picture, and the picture being your fitness. And it's really important, because that discipline that you can find in running, that kind of initial motivation, initial drive, and then turning that into discipline by turning it into habit, and just whatever happens tomorrow, I'm waking up and first thing having my coffee, having my water and going, that can be transferred into any aspect of your life. And it's extremely powerful, and it's a superpower. Like, if you put that into business, what does it look like? Whatever is happening in your business, you're getting it done. If you're a salesperson, whatever is happening, however your figures are looking for the year, for the quarter, for the month, it's happening. You're putting the new business calls out there. You're putting the new sales calls out there. You're following up. You're chasing people. Following up is so key. It's like, how many people say they're going to do something and it doesn't happen? Like, you can learn this from sport. You can learn it from running. If you're trying to put something together at the moment, you're trying to build you're trying to build any sort of business, it's not easy. And the likelihood is that if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to build your own business, you probably don't like being managed. You probably don't like having a boss. You probably don't like being told to do. And that's kind of the essence of the entrepreneurial spirit, that you want to go and build something yourself. You want to have the idea, you want to implement. And it's exactly the same with your training. You're the CEO of your training. You are the boss, and you are the person who has to make it happen. And if you don't make it happen, it's just you. So if you don't make it happen, nobody's going to make it happen. And that's important. If you don't do the work, you're going to get found out on race day. If you don't do the work in your business is going to go bankrupt. It's going to go into liquidation. And if you think about kind of how both things complement each other, or if you're in work, how your running complements your work and your work ethic and your relationship with your colleagues and your productivity, and you are the person that gets something done. You're the person who is a safe pair of hands. Give Lee that piece of work because he'll get it done no matter what. It's difficult and he's going to have to ask some questions, he's going to have to kind of make some calls, but it's going to get done. If you are that person in a business, in a company, you're going to go far. If you're that person setting up a business, you're going to go far. Your business is going to be successful. If you can successfully put together a block of training, and the end result being, even if you fail, but you've put together the block of training and you've succeeded for a portion of that race, likelihood is that if you go into business, as long as you're thinking and you're open-minded, that's going to work as well. If you're in a company, it's going to work as well. You're going to be a good worker. You're going to be a good business person if you've got those skills from running. So for me, work ethic is absolutely number one, which means discipline, which means it doesn't matter if I had 6 hours sleep last night. I'm going out and running in the morning. And ideally, I'm going to have 8, and that will be an optimal day. But if I don't feel 100%, it's still going to happen. And if you think about it, if you only work out, if you only go to the gym, if you only run, if you only do your business, if you only go to work when you're feeling 100%, how many of those days in a year are you going to actually work out? Are you going to actually do your business? Are you going to actually run? If you only wait until you're 100%. So work ethic, discipline is absolutely number one. Motivation, drive, yeah, you could. It looks like that on the surface, but even the most determined, resilient, tenacious people have extreme discipline in their life, and it's the key characteristic that separates hyper successful people, and people who are just coasting. And if you look around you in the workplace, if you look around you in your business, most people are just coasting. Most people are happy just to go to work, to clock in at 8:59, clock out at 5:01, and that's them done for the day, because they only want to pick up the check, go home, and that's it. That's most people, yeah? And what running teaches you is, yeah, you can just tick the boxes and get to race day and you'll survive to the finish. But if you think about it optimally and you want to be a high achiever, and I mean that in the sense that you don't want to run a sub 2 hour marathon like Eliud Kipchoge. You want to do the best possible performance for yourself, and that might be a 3-year goal. That might be initially a 3-month goal to your first marathon, but it might be a 3-year goal for you to get to where you want to get. And that goal looks unreasonable right now. I hope it looks unreasonable, because that's what makes it exciting. If you've just cracked a 5-hour marathon, a sub 5-hour marathon, and your goal in 3 years is to run a sub 3-hour marathon, good for you. That for me is so much more impressive than somebody who's just run a sub 3 marathon and is trying to run a 2:40 marathon. It's that dedication, that discipline. That's what separates the best and those that will achieve from those that don't and fall short.